Warning, Dazz Radio is not responsible for any losses, damages, or liabilities that may arise from the use of this podcast. 1K frequency is not intended to replace professional advice, and our views may not necessarily reflect those views of our featured guests.
Great to have you here with us. This is Dazz Radio's brand new podcast, 1K Frequency, with your hosts, Dazzo and Atlas. All right,
Yo, what's up? I'm Atlas.
What's going on?
What up, everybody?
All right, so this is a brand new show for the Dazz Radio world and Dazzo Nation. We are 1K Frequency. This is, of course, Skittle Kicks. We're going to be talking a little bit about music and really what does music mean to us. So we're going to spend the entire hour talking about this. And if you ever have any questions or anything like that, like you want to throw in your thoughts, then you can email dazzradio@hotmail.com and send us your questions or your comments or whatever you'd like. All right. So what does music mean to us? So we'll just do a round table. Whoever wants to go first, go ahead, and we'll just go in order.
Well, let's let the guy who has his name on this radio show go first, Mr. Dazzo.
What does music mean to us? Well, I've actually enjoyed music a lot over the years, ever since I was a technical kid. Music's just relaxing. Whether you're happy, sad, down, upset, thinking about crap that you shouldn't be thinking about, just the general. I mean, sometimes the music can mean a lot more than just the general music lover.
Mm-hmm.
It can change your life. So,
without a
that's
doubt.
for me.
And that leads me into the, is it a deep experience or just surface? So
To me, it's a deep one.
I'd have to agree with him. Yeah, it is deep meaning with music.
I mean, I don't play instruments, but
no,
it hits that spot.
Yeah, I agree. I know with me, like there are some pieces of music that it just hits something inside of me, and I'm just like, I can get pretty emotional. Like when a certain song hits me a certain way, like a lyric, the waterworks can just start happening. And it's happened to me many times where just not even thinking about anything. And then I'll hear something and for whatever reason, it just punches me right in the feels. And I'm like, oh my God. And to me, that's where music shines the most in my life. And why I have a personal connection to it. And, for me, yes, music is a very deep experience. It's almost visceral. It's almost like I absorb music like a sponge. I absorb everything about it. There are genres of music I'm not interested in because I don't have a connection. It doesn't do anything for me. And other types of music really just hit me just on such a level. And that could be like a piece of classical music. It can be a rock band. It can be something in country or something in gospel. Whatever it is, there is something that can evoke such emotion. And to me, that's what makes a good performer, is if you have the talent enough to actually touch somebody's life and be a game changer. That's what I dig the most. And that's why it's always a deep experience for me. What about you, Atlas?
I mean, I would actually have to agree with that one. Like, music speaks to our hearts and our emotions, whether we're having a very sad day and we want to put on something to make it feel better, or like, for example, you just got broken up with a relationship and you're hearing all of this music normally you don't pay attention to because it's trying to help make you feel better instead of you feeling depressed. I've been there a lot. Like, you need music in your life because without it, you're pretty much emotionless.
Can you imagine with a world without music? I mean,
No thanks.
no, I would not want to live in that world. You know,
No music. We wouldn't have Mozart. We wouldn't have Bach.
we wouldn't
who
have
started
no,
it
we
all
wouldn't have
off.
life. We would not have anything to enjoy.
No.
And that's my.
stupid.
Now, I mean, how I look at music is like it's sonic painting. It is painting with your imagination. It's painting with your ears. That's why I always refer to it as ear candy, because you just eat it all up. You're like, give me more, give me more, give me more. I don't care. I want the calories, you know? That's why I think life would suck without music. And, you know, people can say, well, maybe music doesn't mean that much to them and they'll maybe find something else. That's cool. But for the majority, I think music is something that's just intrinsic. And without it, life would be pretty damn boring. And that's just my opinion, but I'm sure the sentiment is shared across many people's lives and even in cultures for that matter. But
I mean, everyone has their own taste in music.
oh yeah, absolutely. Now, not all music is tasty. Not gonna lie.
No. Some
The-
people prefer the new generation of music, and some people will stick to the older stuff. All depends on your taste and what rings out to you.
Yep.
Most importantly.
Yes. Like, what is
mean,
it that connects you?
I mean, yeah, you can feel free to like explore the new music area and listen to some new stuff, but you're always going to come back to that number one spot that you always had in your heart to listen to the most.
Mhm.
I'm sure we all have that one genre or one artist that we will always come back to no matter what, whenever we need to feel happy or just need something to make us feel better in an everyday life.
Or even something to believe in, to be honest.
Or that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know, because life can just take such a dump on you. I've always felt that music is one of the best cures out there. You know,
Music is life.
you're not wrong. And there's a great quote, and I wish I could quote it. I wish I knew exactly the quote, but I can tell you that, which will go into my next section here. But there's an artist out there that I really, really love, actually a band. And the singer actually came out and said, music is life, music is love, music is hope. She's not wrong. I mean, I believe that really is. And it's so interwoven into our world. And that's why I believe it can just touch so many lives and do so much good. I'm a lot more open than I used to be. I used to be really snobbish about music. I was like, only give me heavy metal, don't care about anything else. And my arrogance made me miss a lot of what was out there. You know, but again, you learn, you grow up, and then you realize, hey, okay, there's more to it than just that. It's deeper than surface.
Yeah.
I mean, the music of hope is literally everywhere. All you have to do is just listen for it.
Mm-hmm.
You'll find your hope in music.
You
Yep.
can. Absolutely.
It could be any genre. It could be anything.
Any band, any artist. It's whatever impacts your
lyric.
life. Like what impacts you to make you feel better? What makes you feel good? What makes you feel like I can take on the world now in a good, positive, healthy way and actually feel like it's not a drag just to get out of bed. It's not a drag just to live through life. Believe me, I've had those moments where I'm just
It
like,
doesn't even have to be your favorite song. It could just be a specific lyric in this one song that made you go, I can do it.
yeah.
I
Yeah.
will not give up.
Yeah, and I think that's what we need more of in this world is we need more of that. But sometimes there is a thing that can just connect the world and shape the world and change the world, and it's like I never expected that. So, you know, that's just how I look at it, and I'm sure you guys would agree on that level that there's just an interconnection that we all share. And thank God we have that we have music. I was about to say comedy, but we have music. You know.
No, if we wanted
Comedy.
comedy, you just tune in to the 1K frequency on Dazz Radio. You'll get your comedy there.
Yeah, you're not wrong. If there's one band or artist that you really love, who would that be and why?
Ew. Tough question.
Yes.
Very, very tough question because there are millions of bands,
Right.
American and non-American.
I understand that, but I wanted to keep this because we could list off 30 bands or 30 artists and never get through a freaking conversation. That's why I said just pick one. We would ramble forever and we would ramble forever because it's just there. But I mean there's got to be one that just it was the one band that really opened your eyes and like really kind of maybe shaped a lot of your world, or if it didn't, it impacted you in some way. That's, I think, what I'm more getting at. Is again, maybe it ties into the first question. Was there a life-changing band for you? Like, was it the band that was like, oh my God, I need more of this in my life?
Skittles, go first.
Yeah, let's get our producer go first.
All right. So the band that has been the most life-changing for me actually replaced a band that I had been into for over 30 years. And I'm talking, there's a lot of reasons why that happened, but the band, I've talked about this before, is The Warning. And I'll explain why and who the band was they replaced. My number one favorite band of all time was Iron Maiden. I got into them very late in the game. They were already 7 albums into their career. They had already been playing all over the world. But in the past 20 years, because they've been out for 40 years, over 40 years now, or almost 50 now, they, in my opinion, have not written good music. The last few albums they've produced, now I'm going to say from basically, I would say from 2003 to their last album, which was, I think, a year and a half ago, I can't remember entirely when it came out, have been great disappointments to me. I could listen to an Iron Maiden album front to back without skipping a track. That's how into the band I was. I wanted to learn everything about that band. I learned a lot of bass technique because as a bass player, that was one of my influences was Steve Harris. But the albums that were coming out from, I'll name them off. Dance of Death, A Matter of Life and Death, Final Frontiers, Book of Souls, and Senjutsu. I think that's all of the ones. That's 5 in the last 20 years that they've released. Have been nothing but mediocrity. If you listen to the first 20 years of Iron Maiden, you can tell every album was different. Every album sounded different. There was a very unique style, a very unique thing that Iron Maiden was. When I discovered The Warning, 2 years ago, mind you, 2 years ago, I could not believe what I heard. It's straight up rock and roll. There is such depth to their songs. I mean, there's depth that I have not heard. And I cannot believe what I'm hearing. I'm like, oh my God, this is what music has been missing for like 40 years. This was the band, is the band, and will be the band of the future. But not only that, they're not a band that just can't cut to the chase. We don't need another 20-minute epic. We've already got bands that did that, or bands that do that. We don't need, we don't need those kind of lyrics. We just need somebody who can just perform. But not only that, what they present as people. I've never seen an artist or a band that is more giving to their fans than this band. What they do for their band, what they do for their audience is something I've never seen before. And I've been around music a long time. I have never seen generosity like this from any band. And a band that is so humble. And I'm talking, there's no ego. There's nothing there except like just, this is who we are and this is what we bring. I have nothing but respect. Last night, I finished out a concert they did last year. It was at the end of I think it was towards the end of the year. It was a 2-hour show. And normally they only get about 30 to 40 minutes because usually they're opening acts, but this was their like a major headlining gig. So they did 2 hours of music. And this was in Guadalajara and I think Mexico City or one of the, like somewhere around in there. And they being from Monterrey. So kind of like their home turf is in that region, and the fan response is unbelievable. When you see the band's reaction, when you hear your own music being sung back to you, the emotion that you get is undeniable, and you can see it in their faces. Very few bands that are out there today do ever even show that. They don't want to smile because we got to look tough. We got to be rock and rollers. There's no smiling in metal. Oh, yes, there is. There has to be. That's why I like them. That's why I love them. And yes, they've impacted me. I think lyrically, what they've written, and Paulina is their lead lyricist. She draws from so much experience and so much like what she sees, and then brings that to the front is just amazing. I mean, watching her do drums and sing is not easy. And like just to like that, some of that technique, I'm like, oh my God, how can you do that and sing? It's not easy to do. They are my new number one favorite band of all time, and I doubt very much that will ever change. And the cool thing is that they just released new singles, and they just announced their 4th album is coming out soon. Don't know when. I know how it works, but I'm looking forward to it. I'm going to be a first day purchase on that. So anyway, I will shut up now so you guys can talk.
There you have it.
Of course. Skittles always wanting to take the lead.
Now, well, I was offered the lead, so I was going to take it, and I was going to run with that football. Okay, I'm sorry.
You were running with it, man. You were going to make a field goal with that football.
Not football.
Field goal.
No, not football. No, guitar, bass. I ran with that bass on that stage, and I'm proud of it. And I ran.
What about you? You're toxic.
Well, I had a lot of interest in music growing up. With my father and my mother being the millennials they were, most of the time they always listened to the 70s channel. So that's all I really had to listen to. But then I opened up the door to something that I did not know was a thing back in the day. And it blew my mind away that this person was even doing this. And I'm talking about Buddy Holly and the Crickets. For those of you who do not know Buddy Holly and the Crickets, they were a group band back in the late 1950s. And they started off in Lubbock, Texas. Really great musicians. Like Buddy Holly, he was the leader of the band. He was a creator of the band. And he wanted to produce his own music. He was doing everything he could for just rock and roll at the time. And I genuinely do not think we would have rock and roll as it is today without people like Buddy Holly doing what he can to control the band, make the music, and try to produce it for the world to hear. And hearing his albums day in, day out, just on repeat, I fell in love. Not with the 50s style music, just what he created with just 3 simple things: a drummer, a stand-up bass, and a guitarist with a voice. 3 people creating a band, and somehow became more popular than most people were in the 50s. Sadly, it was a sad loss that Buddy Holly had to pass away due to a plane crash in 1958, February 2nd.
Which I might point out also took out the lives of Richie Valens and the Big Bopper.
Yes, thank you for bringing that up. Also, 2 other great musical artists, but I genuinely stuck with Buddy Holly's music growing up after I heard him. Started picking up the guitar because of him, learning some of his songs because it was a unique style compared to most people these days who can't even sing and play guitar without messing something up or ruining a chord or maybe miss-singing and being out of tune. And I give props to the people that can actually stand up there, sing and play guitar and be able to do it and not mess up so much. Because it's not easy. I can't even do it. And I'm still in the learning phase of playing my guitar. I mean, I can't say much for some people who are like, who the hell is Buddy Holly? Trust me, go look up his music, listen to Oh Boy or Peggy Sue or just one of his songs with the Crickets. And I'm sure you will then hear the soul that he was putting into his songs to create them. And that's genuinely amazing that someone would put that much effort to creating songs with just 3 people. I don't know about you guys, but to me, that's like the number one thing I loved listening to, and it opened the world.
Okay.
Stupid, but I mean,
I don't think that's stupid at all. I think that's really deep and really cool.
Mhm.
And you're right. Buddy Holly contributed a heck of a lot to early rock and roll. I don't know if he'd really be considered like a Bill Haley, like, rockabilly type, but like Peggy Sue was such an iconic song.
that one, oh boy, that'll be
Oh
the day.
boy, yeah, that'll be the day. Yeah, I mean, and honestly, anybody in that time frame, you could really say were the true pioneers of rock. Richie Valens, the Big Bopper. I mean, these guys were not around very long because they were killed. And
Buddy Holly was 22 when he died. Richie Valens was 18.
yep, and the Big Bopper, I think, was the eldest of them all.
I think he was in his 30s.
Something like that. Yeah. Biggest hits was Chantilly Lace.
He was more of a DJ than an artist.
Yeah, but because he had that hit, it was like everybody just loved him. I mean, how do you forget "Hello, Baby"? Like, you cannot. That's so iconic of an
No.
intro.
You
You know,
cannot forget that.
No,
phone
and
ringing
I
intro.
have mass respect for people like Buddy Holly. And if anybody wants to know the story of what happened, the documentaries out there are pretty extensive. Like, everybody knows.
And the movie.
Matter of fact, Waylon Jennings was supposed to be on that airplane too, but
It
he
was a coin flip.
swapped. It was a coin flip. Yep. And I remember he said, as a joke, "I hope your plane crashes." Because I think it was Buddy, that said, "Well, I hope your bus, breaks down or whatever." It was a joke,
Yep.
right? It was a joke. And Waylon said in every interview, he's like, he jinxed it. And obviously it was more of a fate thing. It was more of like it was going to happen with or without anybody saying something like that.
But that's a heavy weight to be on his shoulders. After that.
Absolutely devastating. Waylon is somebody I enjoy. I mean, this is the guy that basically helped compose Good Old Boys for the Dukes of Hazzard. That was him.
Mhm.
And he was
Just
the
viewing his fans
balladeer.
on TV.
He was the balladeer for the show. He was the narrator. And, a show I grew up with as a kid. To just think about that is just really devastating. It's really sad. Richie Valens was known for Come On, Let's Go, and O'Donna.
La
And
Bamba.
La Bamba, exactly, which I think was, I'm not sure what the bigger of the 3 hits was, but they were all big hits. I want to say it's Elvis Costello that kind of has like that Buddy Holly kind of look.
Yes,
I think he was that's
you're
why
on
he
that.
dresses like him or has that look, is because he was really influenced by Buddy Holly. Even though his music is not that style, I think it's a tip of the hat. At least that's my opinion. I don't know much about Elvis Costello. I know he's a very well-known singer and performer,
He is.
artist, but I don't know much about his backstory. But I'm assuming his look was very much a Buddy Holly thing. And Gary Busey performed as Buddy Holly.
I love that. I love that movie.
Yeah.
He did perfect
He did.
portraying Buddy in that movie.
That's before he went nuts. That's before his motorcycle accident. I think.
We're not going to go to that point.
No, because he kind of fell off his
not gonna go
cracker.
there.
He's kind of fallen off his cracker, but still, I still like watching some of his earlier stuff, his earlier movies. But yeah, him playing as Buddy Holly, because he researched the heck out of that, because he was a mad fan of that of his music, and he wanted to do it justice.
He researched the hell out of it. I've seen that movie 5 times, and it's almost on key with how good he portrayed Buddy.
I don't know, Ray, have you ever seen that show before, or that movie, the Buddy Holly story?
Everyone go look it up.
don't
You
think
should
I
check.
have.
somewhere.
Yeah, you should check it out. I mean, if you only see the trailers, it is worth a watch. I've only seen bits and pieces of it. I've actually never sat and watched the entire thing, which I really need to. This is a recommendation for sure. And by the way, any of these artists or any bands or artists that we talk about, we definitely recommend you go check them out. Go check them
And
out.
give us your recommendations. We want to hear your favorites too, like what you listen to.
Exactly. We have one rock star left, and that is a man who's been sitting in silence now this whole time, listening to 2 other freak shows go on and on and on about their favorites of all time. So the floor is yours, good sir.
Well, if you are talking about classic bands and all that, what about the Jackson 5?
Wrong answer, McFly.
McFly, hello.
McFly? Oh, no.
Wow. Shots fired. Direct hit. Torpedoes launched. Wow. Let's get serious now. Okay, jokes aside. Jackson 5.
When I first heard of the Jackson 5, I was like, what the fuck is happening? Mind you, I was a fucking wee little kid listening to fucking R&B music. It was okay. It was cool. And then when I heard Michael Jackson, the classic of all classic, rest in peace.
Yeah.
He put R&B and a lot of those music genres into the next gen.
I would say he put a lot of those artists to shame too, because what he did was phenomenal.
The music alone, that is what drove me to love Michael Jackson. And of course the Jackson 5.
See, I'm old enough to remember their cartoon.
Yes. I was like, what the fuck?
Yeah, there's literally a cartoon. That's how big they were. They had their own cartoon back in the 70s. I think it carried a little bit into the 80s, but it was very early 80s. I'd have to look it up and see how long that show lasted for. It may have only been one season. I don't know. But
man, it was good watching them.
Okay, but now that obviously would have carried over to his solo work.
Yes.
Michael seems to be the real big artist that just blew your mind.
Yep. Yes, he was.
Was there a particular song that just said, wow? Was there that song for you?
The classic Thriller. I'm sorry.
Don't be sorry. That's a great song. Mine was actually Beat It, to be honest. That was a great tune.
Beat It was my second.
Yeah, I played the crap
Thriller?
out of that. When I would go
Smooth Criminal. Come on, guys. Smooth Criminal.
Well, that is I do like that. That's a hard track to play. I've looked at the bass line. I'm like,
Yes.
That breaks my brain. Because our band actually tried to cover that song. Our band covered Smooth Criminal. And I'm sitting there struggling with that bass line. And I'm like, I'm never going to get this because it's just Mad Hatter crazy.
Plus, that music video is really badass.
I dig probably the song from the Jackson 5 I dig the most would be ABC 1 2 3 because that's the classic. I mean, that was the hit maker for sure.
That was one of them. I Want You Back was one of my other favorite ones.
Being a Michael Jackson fan, I have to ask you the one question I'm sure that's on every 1K frequency listener's mind. Did you learn to moonwalk?
I tried when I was a teen. I can't do it like Mikey.
Yeah.
I could.
I could not.
I
could not do
I
the
could
thing.
try, but it just wouldn't work.
I'll give you an example. I watched Daniela Villarreal from The Warning. She's a guitar player. She has this thing that we've nicknamed the Danny Dance. And I swear to God, it's as complicated as the frickin' moonwalk is, in my opinion. I'm like, how the hell do you do that? And I can't even moonwalk. And I'm watching this girl, and I'm like, how do you do this? I can't do that. And I struggle. I mean, I tried to do the moonwalk as a kid. I'm like, no. I'm just a sad panda at that point. Who was it? Wasn't it Corey Feldman that was a ginormous fan who literally tried to do all the moves that Michael did? And, he would sport the red leather jacket. Yeah, he sported the red leather jacket. He even got himself a rhinestone glove or whatever. So yeah, that's what you call fandom right there. It's like the people that would paint their faces in Kiss makeup.
Yep.
Yeah, sadly I did that a couple times in my life. I am so ashamed. I am ashamed.
If we're gonna talk dances, why not go back to the days of Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, watching Carlton,
when parents just didn't
dance
understand?
to Tom Jones.
When parents just didn't understand?
Okay, yeah, literally. But no, okay, so tell me y'all did not try to do the Carlton dance at some point.
Oh, hell no.
Life.
I tried.
No, I couldn't do the Carlton. I could not. And it's so funny because I remember Alfonso on Silver Spoons. So to see him as Carlton in
Fresh Prince.
Thank you, Fresh Prince of Bel-Air, brain fart, was a thing to behold. I will tell you that right now. And that's my phone. Sorry about that. I should have silenced that.
How dare you?
I know. I am so unprofessional.
Idiot.
I am so unprofessional.
Was that your wife you calling?
No, that was our camera system going off.
Oh.
No, we're not.
What?
I mean,
Did you have a
all
brain
the dance
meltdown?
moves- Oh, okay. What?
Did you have a brain meltdown or something? You're like, what? Oh my god, cameras! No. What was that?
Hey. I don't know, man. Don't ask me.
Don't ask, don't tell, right?
I have a lot of mental breakdowns, man. All right, we all know I'm screwed up.
You
somewhere.
shouldn't say that because I'm literally writing out the tags for our audio, so I don't want to put down mental.
I don't care. It's gonna get heard anyways, man. And I know you're gonna clip it. You clip everything we record. Yeah, this is how we act, guys. Even when we're
I have to have sound bites. I have to have them.
he has to make his sound bites.
Yes, I do.
Impossible dances.
Yeah, impossible dances. No kidding, right? I mean, the moonwalk. You know, the new version of the moonwalk to me is the Danny dance, and then Atlas talking about the Carlton. I mean, you know,
The Carlton is easy.
no,
I don't know how you.
No.
How is it not easy for you? That is easy.
no,
That is so easy.
because this white boy
God.
can't dance.
I can dance. What are you talking about?
I said this. I mean me, not you. Although if you actually did that on camera, I would meme that.
No, not happening. We know the rules of the toxic.
It would
Atlas
be
YouTube
called the toxic dance.
We know the rules of Toxic Atlas. His camera always stays off because he is a faceless YouTuber.
That's what she said.
Anywho,
Look, just because I have long hair, don't mean I'm a girl. God damn it!
That's what she said.
Oh my god.
anywho, so here okay, so before we get too far off the rails here, which we are notorious for, does anyone here play an instrument? And what do you play and why do you play it?
Oh, me, teacher, pick me, teacher.
Dazzo, I'll start with you.
So,
Hey, man.
I don't have no instrument.
Did you ever
I don't play anything.
Did you ever want to as a kid?
No.
So never an interest.
Never.
Technically, no. Even though we had music classes and all that, it was not my interest.
You're
Wow.
telling me you never even messed around with a flute growing up?
I have.
He's like,
Part of
no,
music class.
him messing around with the flute is like, how can I take this apart?
How do I just snap it across my leg and just break it?
And not break my leg in the process because it's a piece of metal. And now how not to get metal shards stabbing into me. Classic Dazzo 101. How not to do things.
Basically.
Okay, if you really want, I used to try to play drums.
Okay.
I mean,
Okay, that's
I wasn't fully into it, but
what got
I
you
can't
into
tell
it?
if he's trolling or if he's actually being legit.
No, I want to be. That's why I'm asking. I'm serious.
I
wanna see if he's
was legit. I was legit.
What
Did you
got
have
into
like
it,
a
though?
full drum set or was it just like air drumming or banging on furniture or
No, actual the African drum. The African drums. I can't remember
okay,
what
so
they
like
were.
Okay.
congas or bongos or whatever like that type of thing.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
That's respectable. Not gonna lie.
That's
It's
something.
percussion. It's a noisemaker. It'll piss neighbors off. Anything to piss off the neighbors is okay by me. Thumbs up, brother. Thumbs up.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay, so I know this is gonna be a stupid question, but Atlas, do you play any instruments?
Well, no, I'm just kidding.
Okay.
Funny you should ask.
All right. So we all know if you guys.
No.
remember tuning
Don't
in-
preface we all know because we have new listeners who may not know.
Yes, I do play instruments. For those listeners out there, yes, I do. I mean, I can start off by what I did start to play. I used to mess around at school on a drum set that was just in the music class when we were on study hall. I did that for about 6 months and then just fell out of love. I couldn't understand it too much. It was too confusing with the handwork and the footwork. It was confusing.
Reminds me of me.
Drums are just not the best thing to, unless you really want to deep in your heart become a drummer. Go at it, test it out, see what you think. I then tried piano afterwards. Still confusing. My fingers don't work like that on a piano. But then one of our substitute music teachers at school had brought in an electric guitar because he was this cool punk 70s guitarist. I was like, cool. And I asked him about the guitar. He showed me a little bit about it. I'm like, all right, how do you play it? And he showed me a few chords. And then I just kind of fell into the groove of playing guitar, which is where I am today. So yeah.
I was bitten by the music bug around age 2. My parents noticed the inclination, and I, funny enough, could sing on pitch at 2 years old. The song of choice wasn't really by choice. It was just what was popular at the time in 1977. Debbie Boone's You Light Up My Life. And that was what I would sing. And to reach the high notes, I literally would stand on my tiptoes just to hit the high notes. But what really set my foot into the world of music, I would say, would have been drums and a TV show called The Great Space Coaster. The intro, the whole song, blew my mind. It's funny that it was a TV show, but that's what set my feet in that direction. I'm like, okay, that's what I want to be. That's what I want to do when I'm adult. When I'm an adult, I want to be a musician. And since then, I obsessed about being a drummer. So screw you putting down drums, Atlas.
Whoa. Hang on. No. I did not put down drummers at all. I said, if you want to play at your heart's content. See if it'll actually be something good for you.
You dissed the drummer. You dissed the drummer.
I did not diss the drummer. I
Remember,
just said,
this show was recorded. I have the soundbite.
He's gonna. Okay, and I know what I said.
You know what you said.
You know what you said, but you know what you did.
Somewhat. I look. Okay, I didn't diss the drummer. I just said if you can play it, that's good for you. I'm glad you can. It wasn't for me. I'm not a drummer.
Anyway, so I will continue. So, I did not come from a family that had a lot of money. It was more than just struggling to put food on the table. It was like, could we even eat that day? So wishing for a drum set. And mind you, drums were not sold in like a complete package deal like you get nowadays. You had to buy everything individually. The shell pack, you got no cymbals, no stands, no nothing. It was all separate purchases. Even the snare drum didn't come with the original drum set. So you're looking at about $1,000, and this is in the 1980s. When I turned about 8 years old, somehow I found an acoustic guitar in my dad's closet. It was an old Aria, 6-string, dreadnought style. And I'd pick it up and pluck the strings or whatever. I didn't know any chords, but I was just like, ding, 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 ding. Yep, that's me doing that. But it was just like the bug was in me. It was like a contagious, awesome bug that I loved to get. And my parents hated that I took it out of the closet because they're like, if you break a string, we don't know how to fix this. Yeah, fair enough. I get that. I get that. So I turned 12 years old, and a guy my dad worked with was a guitar player. And he had this guitar he was willing to sell me for $50. It was essentially a Les Paul clone. It was called a Grande. And I was like, okay, so I paid for half. My dad paid for the other half. And I struggled with guitar. And I mean, I can do chords, but I'm not really good at changing chords. Like, from a C to a D to a G to an A to an E. Well, E and A is okay, but, like the other chords, like that was hard. Power chords I could somewhat do, but I wasn't quick. And it was a struggle. And sometime around the time between my age of 10 and 13, I moved to a little city that was barely a zit on the map. Kid across the street had just got a guitar when he was 12. And we'd been talking for a little while about starting a band together. And he's like, because you want to be a drummer or whatever. I was like, yeah, but I'll never be able to afford one. Well, long story short, he said, okay, if you can't afford drums and you don't like guitar, why don't you try bass? I thought for a moment, I'm like, well, I've already kind of sort of tooled around on a bass. I was like, okay. So mom and dad got together. They talked about it, and they said, okay, we'll get him a bass. Went to a few music stores for about 3-4 months looking around, and finally I found one. It was a Fender Squier Precision 2, Japanese model, had a basswood body, maple neck. I had a PV micro bass amp, which is a little 8-inch speaker, 60 watts. And then I had a guitar cable, gig bag, and some picks, which I don't really use. And the first song I ever learned was Metallica's cover of Am I Evil? And I wanted to quit that very day. I hated playing that because I couldn't figure stuff out. And now 34 years later, I still play bass. I still love it, though my hands don't work very well like they used to. I still love it. And I'm very grateful that I have the ability to play music. I'm also very grateful that I have the ability to compose music and to write lyrics. I've been doing that since 14 to 15 years old. So yes, that's why this whole topic of what music means to me is so deep with me, because I was able to take what I loved and turn it into something that's a deep, deep, deep passion. The only thing that never worked out was being in a band, like a successful band. That was something I obsessed about from 13 until 2015, however old I was in 2015. I was just like, okay, that was it. My fiance said to me, why don't you start a band when you come down to Texas? And I'm like, I would love to, but that passion is gone. That part of me died just because I didn't have the right band members with me that really were that passionate. And since there was no passion, I was like, it's never going to happen. So I kind of sort of gave up. I still write and compose, but music is my life. Music is art. Music is life, love, and hope. And I will never quit playing music. It's just the band side. Yeah, I had to give that up. So that's my story, and I am sticking with it. We hope that you enjoyed the maiden voyage of 1K Frequency with your hosts, Dazzo and Atlas, and myself, Skittlekicks. If you have any thoughts or topic ideas or feedback for the show, you can drop us a line at dazzradio@hotmail.com. So until next time, don't get canceled.